And welcome to the channel. My name is Charles Wollertz. This is Wollertz Photography. If you're new, welcome. Consider subscribing for more videos about photography. In today's video, I want to talk about the difference between processing images and editing images. And then also touch on the difference between a commercial photo shoot and a stock photo shoot. They're very similar, but they're slightly different. By the way, if you're a purist and you think a photo should be right straight out of camera, then this video is not for you. And just like that, it is summertime, we're outdoors, it feels good, sunshine, warm weather. This is where I like to be. I don't like to be in the office, I don't like to be cooped up. If you've been following my channel, you know that I do a lot of commercial work as well as stock photography. And I got hired about a month ago to do a particular photo shoot in Idaho. We had a boat and I had to get a few photos of this floating restaurant. In last week's video, I mentioned how smoky it was. There's forest fires in the area and nothing looked great. Now remember, we planned this ahead of time. We had the boat, we had everything ready to go. It's not like I could just say, forget it, I'm not doing this. It's not that easy to reschedule something when you're weather dependent. So we went out on the boat anyway. I used a circular polarizer to try to remove some of that glare from the water and the smoke and cut through the haze a little bit to see if I can get some photos. It was not easy. Again, smoky days, the color in the water disappears, the sky goes away, and just things don't look that great. Now, here's when editing comes into play. Remember, there's processing and then there's editing. When I take pictures, I always use RAW. This means that all of that data from that photograph is captured, embedded into that file. It has to be processed, it has to be developed. Years ago, we used a darkroom. Today, we use Lightroom because it has to be processed. It needs to be developed. Processing is enhancing the colors, your white balance, your contrast, your highlights, your shadows and darks and brights. Adjusting all of this is part of that process. It's part of bringing all those things, all of that data out of that photograph. Remember, when you bring the highlights all the way down and now you get texture in the clouds, that was there. When you lift the shadows and now you can see the detail and the blacks. That information was there. You are bringing it out, you're processing that photo. And that is totally fine, and that is something you should be doing as a photographer with every photo. If you shoot in JPEG, the camera is embedding that information onto that photo based on the parameters that you select on your camera. So you're still processing the photo, it's just that the camera is doing it for you, based on whatever settings you have in your camera. Editing, on the other hand, is a little bit more complicated. This is when we replace colors, we replace skies, we delete people. This is editing. So that is the main difference between processing and editing a photo. For this particular photo shoot, I did heavy editing. Look at the before and after. Now, can you tell me that that photo was edited? Or that was processed? Definitely processed, but can you tell me that it was edited? The whole point with advertising is to make things look as best as they can. This was a commercial photo shoot. We wanted to capture the restaurant on the water to show that it's a floating restaurant. And again, the smoky days, the midday sun, that's when we could get the boat, was not helping. I used 3 different programs, and no, this is not sponsored, this is just what I use. I used Adobe Lightroom first, then I went into Luminar Neo as an extension of Lightroom, and then into Photoshop. That was my workflow. First, Lightroom, dehaze all the way, try to get rid of the smoke in the air and bring back some of the details in the highlights and in the atmosphere. That worked enough. Bring down the highlights, try to see what was in the sky. I also like using filters, specific filters to edit different parts of the photo independently in Lightroom. This is awesome. I can select just the water and make it a little bit bluer, change the white balance of the water. I can select the building and brighten the building up, or I can use a radial filter. I was not worried about the sky because I knew I was going to replace it. That smoky sky did not look good. You couldn't even see the clouds that much. So once I processed the image in Lightroom, I took it into Luminar Neo as an extension. So right click, open in Luminar Neo as a copy with Lightroom adjustments. So now I have a copy. I'm not damaging the original file. In Luminar, super easy, 3 clicks, you can replace the sky. I could do this in Photoshop. Luminar is so much easier that that's what I like to do. So I just took it there, and I bought this program for the same thing. I've used this for so many different clients, even real estate clients. Remember, half the advertising photos you see out there have been heavily edited, videos and photographs. When you look at a commercial for McDonald's or Burger King, and then you go to the store and order one, you know what I'm saying. And this happens with pretty much every industry. But anyway, back to the photo shoot. Once I got that photo in Luminar Neo, I can select the sky that matches the photo. And Luminar is awesome because it also gives me a reflection in the water. It identifies where the water is, where the sky is, and it matches the reflection. So that, I think, is a great way to doing this, so I don't have to do it manually in Photoshop. Then I tweak it, I adjust it, I can move the sky where I want it, I can just make it look the best I think it can be. Then I go back into Lightroom, and now I take it into Photoshop to do cleanup. In this particular photo of the building, you can see the air conditioners, you can see that it just doesn't look great. I know that the building is planning on covering this up. I just don't know when it's gonna happen. So I just took it into my hands to remove it, just so they're not distracting. The focus is not there, the focus is on the building, it's floating. That's just a little accent that was taking my eye. So I thought it would be better if it wasn't there. And just like that, we went from this photo to this other one. Now, I'm gonna ask you, do you think that's fair? I lived in Coeur d'Alene. I know that this does look like that. There's beautiful sunsets almost all the time. It's an incredible place for sunsets, a reflection in the water, the lake. The water looks blue. It is a beautiful, beautiful lake, beautiful area. So I know that this happens there. It's just that when I went, the conditions were not there. Do you think that's fair for advertising, for things like this? The difference between this and stock. For stock photography, you can replace the sky with one of your own, but you can't use something from Luminar Neo because that is somebody else's photo. I can't profit from that I can't sell the license that's not mine, but I can sell the photo to a business. But again, advertising is totally different. Heavily edited photos are usually what you're going to see, and not just processed. But when it comes to stock photography, if you sell a photo, an editor can do this to your photo. They can replace the sky and use it. If you sell a concept, they're able to completely edit it and transform it into something that's gonna work for their project. We don't have, there's a little bug in here. We don't have say in how that photo is going to be edited and or modified in any way. We're selling the license to the photo. They can do whatever they want with it. I found some of my images selling things that I'm like, what? But that's fine. I can't be attached to how that photo is used. And again, when it comes to advertising, which stock photography is, they're going to use it in a way that's gonna suit their purpose, whoever's buying the image. Is it fair? I don't know, because like I said, this does happen. It just didn't happen the day I was there. And I'm not selling the day I was there. I'm selling the experience of being there. And by that, I mean this particular photo. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you have a better workflow, please share it in the comments. I like using Lightroom, Luminar Neo, and then back to Photoshop for the last minute cleanup. And I thought the photos looked great. I don't see much of a difference. I just enhanced what I know could be there and modified the bad situation that we had. Again, this is not something that I can reschedule for another week, for another month. There's too many people involved, and I needed to make the best out of this particular situation. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was insightful in some way. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it or what you think about this particular type of video when it comes to editing and that workflow. But again, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.